From the news hub at the Salwe Kanda in Accra. We're streaming live on Facebook and on 3news.com. Let's start with the major news highlights of the day. The ban on small-scale mining will be lifted from Monday, December 17. Chairman of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, who made the announcement at a news conference in Accra, said only small-scale miners duly vetted and cleared would be allowed to resume operations. And tonight, 3 persons, including the Stu Mankralo of Prampram, suspected to have been involved in the murder of the Mankralo of Prampram, Nene Achure Binta, the third, have been arrested at a news conference briefing as a news briefing in Prampram. The divisional commander, ACP Doji Kloje, assured the people in the area of adequate security as investigations continue. In the northern region, the Boling Nana Muhammadu Abdullahi has been installed as the new regent of Dagbon. His enskinment forms part of activities being undertaken as part of the funeral rites of Yana Muhammadu Abdullahi IV. On the international front, Theresa May says it is still possible to get assurances for as MPs need to back her Brexit deal, despite EU leaders ruling out any renegotiations. Those are our major news highlights. Remember, we're streaming live on Facebook and on 3news.com. Let's start with our very first story tonight. The ban on small-scale mining will be lifted on Monday, December 17. Chairman of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, who made the announcement at a news conference in Accra, said only small-scale miners duly vetted and cleared would be allowed to resume operations.
Government in August this year announced the roadmap towards the lifting of the ban on small-scale mining. The lifting of the ban follows the successful vetting of some 907 out of the 1,350 small-scale miners. Of the 907, those who have completed the vetting process successfully have now been given licenses to operate. At the launch of government's new policy framework on regularizing and reforming mining activities in Ghana, Chairman of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, announced that effective Monday, qualified small-scale miners can resume work. According to Professor Frimpong Boateng, who is also the Minister of Environment, Science and Technology, this follows the successful implementation of all the strategies in the roadmap.
Having successfully implemented the strategies outlined in the roadmap, the ban on small-scale mining is being lifted as from Monday, 17 December.
He maintained the ban has been lifted to allow only miners vetted and validated to resume work.
Lifting of the ban will allow mining companies with valid company registration certificates, valid permits and licenses from the regulatory authorities, Minerals Commission, EPA, and Water Resources Commission, tax identification numbers, companies who have had their mining equipment licensed and electronically tagged by DVLA, and whose concessions have been vetted and given a QR code to go back to work.
Professor Frimpong Boateng enumerated reforms put in place to ensure mining is done in an environmentally friendly manner.
The reforms are meant to halt operational activities of the so-called large-scale mining companies employing small-scale technology. Halt the practice whereby mining companies abuse prospecting licenses and engage in actual mining without mining licenses. Amend laws that allow foreigners to provide mining services to small-scale miners. Ban the fabrication, transportation, and use of dredging mining equipment on the water bodies.
And government in June 2017 imposed a 6-month ban on small-scale mining as part of efforts to end illegal mining and its related activities which adversely affected the environment, particularly water bodies and forest resources. The ban was, however, extended to January 2018 until its subsequent lifting by the sector minister.
Meanwhile, key stakeholders in the mining sector have been reacting to the lifting of the ban.
General Secretary for the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners, Godwin Ama, pledged to collaborate with government to ensure the policy framework works.
I think it's a good news. Those who have not gone through the process, we encourage them to go through it so that when they are working, they will not have any problem. Our task force just yesterday arrested 3 Chinese nationals. We've also been able to clear our water bodies in collaboration with Vanguard, and we will not relent on that effort.
He enumerated steps being taken by the association to complement government efforts.
NASIM will effectively implement our peer review mechanism to promote sustainable mining. All members will sign a code of practice agreement. The code of practice, among other things, includes KPIs that will be set for concession, and those KPIs are complying with the buffer distances of mining concession as stipulated by the law to eliminate pollution of our river bodies and streams.
Convener of the Media Coalition Against Galamsey, Ken Ashibe, said the fight against illegal mining, popularly known as Galamsey, has not been won yet. He charged stakeholders to ensure the policy framework is implemented to the letter.
If you listen to what the Minister for Environment said, they have put in place some critical measures. But let's go and get to the document and really review it. Implementation is going to be the key. Because as he said, definitely there are some people already doing the illegality. There are people who are on the water bodies. We hope that these 300 odd mining companies that are also going to go, because they are also going to start mining, they will also become one of the vanguards.
Let's get on to the telephone lines now and do some analysis on this. We have on the line chartered environmentalist at the Institute of Environmental Assessment, Dr. Eric Chum. Doc, good evening and thank you extremely for joining us. Now, finally, after several agitations from small-scale miners who have said that the ban was inflicting a lot of economic hardship on them, from Monday the ban will be lifted. Would you say that the ban, which was implemented by government several months ago, achieved its intended objectives?
Good evening, and good evening to your listeners as well. I think the ban had achieved some measure of success, but in reality, 4.5 million Ghanaians depend directly or indirectly on small-scale mining. And so, yes, the impact economically has been very harsh. But we need to understand that we needed some level of sanity in our system, and the government that were elected to perform its duties give us some measure of hope to ensure that we have some measure of sanity in our system by regulating licenses and making sure that people had the capacity to actually perform the duty that they stand themselves as small-scale miners.
Now, although in reality, the government says that only small-scale miners duly vetted and cleared would be allowed to resume operations, do you get the sense that there is really the likelihood that illegal mining would continue?
The problem it's the root causes of it has not been actually addressed, which is the issue about poverty and providing alternative livelihoods for people. That they go hand in hand, and until the government provides these to address issues about poverty, inequality in our system, and then provide alternative livelihood for people who are engaged in illegal mining or within small-scale mining, that we will only be scratching the surface of the problem. I'm happy efforts are being put in developing the capacity of small-scale miners in the mining activity itself, the refining, the use of proper chemicals and non-mercury, and then, of course, training people on alternative livelihood program. If all these are put in place, then, of course, we might get some level of people constantly complying with these regulations. If not, if the root causes are not addressed, unfortunately, we're going back to the same problem that we thought we left years ago.
Right. I mean, talking about going back to the same problem that resulted into the ban put in place in the first place, I know that there are many people, including myself, who might be skeptical whether we're doing enough not to ensure that we're not going back to that stage, that lowest point where the ban was put into place. So what would be your recommendations as to what can be done so we don't sink that low and get back to that old situation, that point where the ban was put in place?
A number of things we need to do. The first has to do with effective monitoring and evaluation of the policy. We have beautifully written policies and programs that the ministerial committee have actually put in place. We need to implement these to the latter. Other thing that we need to do is to take away stumbling blocks from acquisition of these permits and licenses. We should have district officers that are operational with the Minerals Commission, the EPA, and all the relevant institutions at the doorstep of people who need access to these. This is very, very important. Other thing that unfortunately happens is the issue about financing. You notice a lot of foreigners coming with and collaborate with local partners in undertaking small-scale mining. It is because the huge financing that is required for this activity normally are not really available by the banks. And so we need to find alternative ways to provide financing for people who are legitimately being provided with licenses to get into these mining activities.
Now, human resource. I know that when it comes to human resource, I mean, this is very important. And as somebody whose area of speciality is environmental assessment, I want to figure out, I want you to help us figure out what you think needs to be done in this area to ensure that we have the right human resource in the field of mining in Ghana.
No, I think what the government set out to do was to train people on a number of areas. I mean, it includes mapping of the mining sites, the use of technology in identifying the ores that are within the area, that we have done cost-benefit analysis of mining, and even the processing, the use of chemicals that are required, the buffer zones that need to be in place. These are all areas of training and capacity that needs to be addressed. And key is the issue about reclamation. As of now, we need about 250 million alone on reclamation of land. How many of folks working in this area actually know how to reclaim this land? So there are various levels of capacity that need to be built to ensure that mining is done responsibly and in a sustainable manner going forward.
All right, Dr. Eric Chum, we're grateful for your time. Thank you extremely. Dr. Eric Chum is a chartered environmentalist and at the Institute of Environmental Assessment. I'm Stephen Enti. This is News at 10. We're live from the News Hub at Adesawe Kanda in Accra, and we have more news for you. Don't go away. Welcome back. Now, 3 persons, including the Stu Mankralo of Pram, suspected to have been involved in the murder of the Mankralo of Pram, Nene Achure Benta III, have been arrested. At a news briefing in Pram, the divisional commander, ACP Doji Hloji, assured the people in the area of adequate security as investigations continue.
The Mankralo of Pram, Nene Achure Benta III, was gunned down by unknown persons at Dodowa in the Shai Osudoku district. The incident happened on Thursday afternoon at about 3:30 p.m. when he was returning to Pram from a meeting at Dodowa House of Chiefs. At a press briefing, the divisional commander of Ningo Pram, ACP Doji Hloji, revealed some arrests have been made, assuring the police is in control of the situation.
Pick up some people, some key suspects in the case. For security reasons, we would not like to disclose their identity now. So we've arrested some people and they are in custody now as we speak. The investigations are ongoing. So far, this is what we can tell you about the unfortunate murder of the Mankralo. the murder or the killing did not happen in Pram Pram, but rather on his way from Apollonia coming. That was where the incident happened. Those we've arrested after our initial investigation, we need to hand them over to the exact place that the incident took place.
The district chief executive of the area, Jonathan Doku, assured the people in the area to be calm as the police continue with their investigations.
I'm also appealing to everybody in Ningo Pram Pram that if they have any information, they should quickly get in touch with us, the police, any other person, so the information to be given to us. That will lead to the arrest of people who are involved in this criminal act. Meanwhile, we want to assure everybody to go about their normal duties. The security is in safe hands.
It was a sober mood at the premises of the murdered Mankralo as the District Security Council called on the family to commiserate with them. Worried head of family, Nathaniel Nate, suspects foul play in the death of the traditional leader.
The whole thing happened like some of the people in the family are also included in the whole thing. Because of that, we cannot sit down now and then take any decision. So we are waiting for the children also to come. Maybe what they will also bring, it will be upon that one or two people shall also meet and then see what to do.
Very, very sad situation there. But let's move away from that to the northern region where the Bole Lana Muhammadu Abdullahi has been installed as the new regent of Dagbang. His inskinment forms part of activities being undertaken as part of the funeral rites of Yana Muhammad Abdullahi IV. The old Bewa Palace has now been officially handed to the Abudu royals to perform the funeral of the late Yana Muhammad Abdullahi IV. The Northern Regional Minister Salifu Said, representing government, handed over the keys to the Abudus, headed by the Dugu Idrisu Idi, at the forecourt of the newly constructed palace. The funeral rites will last for 2 weeks, after which the Andani family is also expected to perform that of the late Yana Yakubu Andani II from January 4 to January 18, 2019. Hundreds of police and military personnel have been deployed to the area to ensure peace. Right, to other stories, the outgoing Executive Council Chair of the Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition, Bright Appiah, has challenged the Education Ministry to review the senior high school placement system to effectively distribute students. This, he said, would reduce the number of double-track senior high schools across the country.
Addressing the 2018 annual general meeting of the coalition in Accra, the outgoing Executive Council Chair, Bright Appiah, suggested the rationalization of the SHS placement system.
So assessment that we've done clearly shows that there are certain spaces that are available, that even if government want to run single track, government will be able to do it. So we think that government should do that rationalization and come to the conclusion that yes, indeed, some schools cannot run the double track, and we have the belief that if we do it well, next year government may not necessarily run the double track in most of our secondary schools.
Development Partners Coordinator at the Ministry of Education, Ernest Wesley Otu, asked the Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition, NEC, to continue to advise government on issues concerning education. He urged the coalition to help in the Ghana Accountability for Learning Outcomes program. Gallup.
We have a sector plan that spans the period 2018 to 2030, and it seeks to address or give us a strategy to achieve our aspirations for education in basic education, in second cycle education, and then in tertiary. During the evaluation of the EFA goals, when Ghana joined the rest of the world to evaluate that in line also with the MDGs. We found of the 6 EFA goals, we did very well on 5, except the last one, which was on quality.
NEC, as a member of the Ministerial Advisory Board of the Ministry of Education, provides input on basic education and education in general.
And some concerned branch executives of the opposition, NDC, and the Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency are rooting for popular actor John Dumelo to contest for the vacant seat in the constituency. They believe the staunch supporter of former President John Dramani Mahama has what it takes to capture the seat for the NDC.
The branch executives, together with some supporters of the party, threw their support behind John Dumelo ahead of the pending by-election. The late MP for the area, Emmanuel Ejakun, died in USA in November last month, setting the stage for a possible by-election. Though the late MP is yet to be buried, political parties have already begun moves to take over the seat. It was reported on Tuesday that the two wives of the former MP were nursing their intention to contest the seat, a claim which was flatly denied by the second wife of the late MP, Lydia Al-Hassan. Addressing the media in Accra, spokesperson for the concerned branch executives of Ayawaso West Wuogon, Justice Chepo, stated John Dumelo will be the ideal candidate to lead the party in the constituency.
We are gunning in for John Dumelo to represent the constituency in the forthcoming by-election. We all know about Mr. Dumelo. He's been with the party for a long time. He is in good standing of the party. He has been with us both good and bad times. And we think this is the right time for us to give him the opportunity to lead the party in this constituency.
He refuted claims it is too early for the NDC to select a candidate when the former MP is yet to be buried.
Despite the fact that he's there, we are mourning, we cannot also say that we will not follow due process. The MPP is preparing. In this case, NDC cannot sit idle and say because we sympathize with them, so we will not take any step. So we are only following the due process to prepare ourselves before the 60 days elapse.
Meanwhile, the man at the center of the campaign, John Dumelo, is yet to make a comment on the development.
And 4 DJs have qualified to battle it out at the grand finale of this year's 3FM Jam and 10-disc jockey competition scheduled for December 22nd. The battle for the bragging right, cash prize and other mouth-watering prizes are at stake for this year's Jam in 10 winners.
The 3FM studios came alive as 5 semi-finalists got on the turntables to display their versatility to earn a slot for the Jamming 10 finals. One after the other, contestants were given 10 minutes to impress listeners and judges. After impressive rounds of musical display, listeners were given the opportunity to vote via social media. The votes were collected and brought to the presenter.
Was 64, making 74%. Snacky had 4.8% votes, public votes, but 88.2% judges vote. That makes it 93%. Black Boy had 23% public votes, but 75.6% judges vote, making it 98.6%.
In the end, DJ Faculty, DJ Nasty, DJ Snacky, and DJ Black Boy were all selected for the finals. They expressed their readiness for the finals.
But what I'm going to say is, let's watch out for the finals. I'm bringing my A game. It's a secret. the secret. Buy a game.
I have a whole lot of things to put out there. You get it? I'm good. Just watch out for the best. The final is going to be fun. Make sure you're on it. Don't turn out, turn in. Okay?
But when the result came, I saw that the people behind me were so great enough. They didn't even put me to shame. So kudos to everyone that voted for me.
Yeah, right. So they were doing their thing there. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. The weekend starts now, actually. I'm Stephen Anti. Thank you extremely for making time. And please stay with us. There's more news on 3news.com. Enjoy the rest of our programs.